After an encounter with a mysterious entity, a guy's life gets completely flipped upside down when his own thing, if you catch my drift, turns into the most powerful demon king in existence. And it doesn't stop there. He even gets a wild proposal. If he can manage to defeat it, he'll be granted any wish he could ever want. But how is a guy supposed to defeat a creature that powerful when it's literally attached to him? If you're digging this story, make sure to subscribe to catch the next chapters and smash that like button to help out the channel. Alright, let's jump right in. Our boy spawns into a new world completely in his birthday suit. All he remembers is getting zapped and ending up in this place. But when he looks down, he completely freaks out, screaming about where his junk went. Panicking, our MC starts digging through the dirt, yelling that it's just not there. Then he checks behind a tree, but no luck there either. Our dude even pats down his own back, but still comes up empty-handed. He takes another peek between his legs, wondering what kind of cruel joke reincarnates a guy without his package. Totally defeated, our boy drops to the ground, super bummed out about his situation. Our guy tries to jog his memory about what happened right before he ended up here. Then it hits him. He was in a bathroom with giant urinals while some weird-looking folks were creeping up on him. After that, he remembers taking a shower and reading a sign warning to keep valuables close by. And right after, a flashback of a cab driver telling him he left his stuff behind. Back in the present, our MC starts panicking all over again, swearing his equipment was totally intact before he reincarnated and wondering where on earth it went. So he tries to chill out and assess the situation carefully, figuring he must have missed a clue somewhere. Suddenly, it all comes back. His name was Huang Mizhou, a sales assistant, who kicked the bucket after an accidental shock made everything fade to black. Huang Mizhou puts two and two together. He arrived in this other world without a stitch of clothing, and to make matters worse, his little buddy had vanished into thin air. Our guy then realizes it wasn't just his manhood that went missing, but his clothes too, and a light bulb goes off in his head. Heading toward the nearby town, he figures that maybe nobody in this world has that specific body part, which is why clothes aren't even a thing here. Feeling relieved, he thanks his lucky stars, thinking that finally everyone else is just like him. Except the second he steps foot in town, he immediately dives into a haystack. Stuck inside the straw, our MC is absolutely terrified. Watching people walk down the street, he is shook to realize that they are actually nothing like him at all. So he just stays hiding in the hay, keeping a close eye on everything going on. Soon after, our boy gathers some courage, grabs a pink towel to cover up, and makes a run for it. He keeps running, trying to convince himself that maybe underneath their clothes, everyone is exactly like him. At the end of the day, he decides the only way to know the truth is to see it with his own two eyes. A blonde lady points right at him and yells for someone to look. Freaking out, our MC starts spinning the towel covering him, screaming that there is absolutely nothing to see here. But out of nowhere, a giant purple monster crashes down right on top of him. Our boy stops dead in his tracks and looks back, totally lost as to what is even going on. The massive monster hits the ground, complaining about being locked up by the Great War faction. The monster, who goes by the Demon King of Obliteration named Chubby, threatens to make everyone pay and screams that they are all about to get obliterated. Right then, the camera pans to the monster's lower half, revealing that he is completely smoothed down there too. Seeing this, our guy is absolutely mind-blown. Demon King Chubby starts flexing, bragging that they never expected him to level up like this. He gets ready to launch an attack, telling everyone to watch closely. Chubby starts laughing his head off, telling our MC that he is about to get wiped out. But before he can even finish his sentence, a massive energy beam is fired straight at him. The blast sets off a humongous explosion. Then a buff dude in armor named Harold steps out of the smoke and asks our MC if he is doing all right. Super awkward and trying to keep his towel on, our guy assures him everything is all good. Meanwhile, Demon King Chubby is laid out on the ground, looking like extra crispy barbecue. Right after that, something drops straight from the sky. Harold grabs hold of a sword made entirely of crystal. He turns to the crowd and introduces himself as the captain of the Great War Knight, telling everyone not to sweat it because that Demon King was just for practice and is practically harmless. The knight announces that the Great Roar is giving out free attribute tests, and anyone who scores high can even bag a god-tier divine artifact. Harold hypes up the crowd, saying that whoever takes down the strongest Demon King gets any wish granted and becomes a certified hero, getting everyone super pumped to take the test. In the testing line, a girl finds out her attribute is the tuning type, with resonance, and the tester quickly calls the next person up. This absolute meathead walks up to our boy and asks if he wants to give the test a shot. Even though he feels super out of place, he steps up to do it, wondering what his results will be and why he is feeling so hyped. except the guy running the test announces that his attribute is the pathetic type. Our MC is completely shell-shocked when the dude finishes his sentence saying his attribute is actually not having any junk. Our boy walks away looking totally crushed, shaking his head in denial. He stops, looking super confused, while someone keeps an eye on him from afar. A fox-eared dude from the dwarf tribe named Hugutu explains that the test is really just a cover to recruit cannon fodder to raid the Demon King mountain. Our MC hears that divine artifacts are actually crafted from low-rank demon kings, but he could not care less. He just wants to get his package back. Hugutu keeps pitching, offering divine artifacts at his shop with discounts based on rank. But our dude is just thinking how he wishes he could buy his manhood back instead. The vendor introduces himself as Hugutu, the sell-it-all merchant, who deals in everything from artifacts and weapons to solid intel, and asks what the young man is looking for. Our boy starts stuttering, completely at a loss for words, leaving the merchant super confused. He gets annoyed that he cannot spit out what he wants and asks if the vendor summoned the catalog using his attribute. Hugutu explains that his attribute is storage and flashes a shiny card to show how it works. Our MC thinks about how that power works and realizes he has a whole lot to learn about this new world. The vendor keeps pushing, insisting he has literally any kind of merch, and asks again what he wants to buy, but our dude decides none of it even matters. With a dead serious look, he thinks to himself that he just wants to know what happened to his equipment, and that he needs to see things for himself. So he turns to the merchant and asks where the restroom is. Inside the bathroom, our boy thinks the moment of truth has finally arrived, and if he can confirm that nobody here has that body part, he can finally kick off his adventure. Kwon Mizo tries to chill out, hyping himself up by saying there is no way he is the only guy dealing with this. Our guy remembers the Demon King and figures that since he came in all shapes and sizes, there is no telling what people are packing under their clothes. Then he spots a blue-haired dude in the restroom and concludes that the guy isn't human, so the humans in this world must be blank down there, just like him. Our MC just stands there staring at the guy, debating whether or not he should take a peek. He decides to take just one tiny look to be absolutely sure. The guy attacks our MC, turning around absolutely furious, asking if he's trying to grab his junk and cussing him out, sending both of them tumbling right out into the street. The blue-haired guy named Chujiji starts ranting about his terrible luck, saying his parents are super disappointed in him and his girlfriend just dumped him. He complains that even the attribute test that was supposed to be his big break turned out to be a bust, completely trashing his dream of beating the strongest Demon King. Chujiji keeps venting that now he even has creeps trying to grab his package in the bathroom, while our dude mentally notes that yep, this guy definitely has his manhood intact. The guy summons a divine artifact, a glowing red sword, and claims he is going to make a massive comeback to become the hero who takes down the strongest Demon King. But our MC just stares right at him, and thinks to himself that he reincarnated, but his junk got left behind, and he is never going to see it again in this lifetime. He mourns the loss of the most important thing in his entire life. Then he looks down at his own hand, and thinks about the crazy power he gained from that loss. Energy starts glowing from his hand, and he wonders if this is what summoning a divine artifact feels like. He gets into a stance and says he is about to show off the power that comes from losing your most prized possession. Then a bright golden light starts shining in his hand. Gripping his brand new weapon, Aboy yells, "Let's do this." Except he is completely clueless, wondering why on earth he just summoned a kitchen knife. But taking a closer look, he realizes that knife is straight from his own house. Meanwhile, Chuji launches a crazy fast attack with his sword. The two of them start throwing down, trading blows back and forth. The blue-haired dude talks some trash, super determined to win at least this one fight, but our MC manages to land a solid kick right on him, and right after, sends the guy flying through the air. The guy hits the ground totally out cold. The dust settles, and the bystanders are just standing there, staring at the whole scene, with a serious look on his face. Our boy thinks to himself that he needs to take things one step at a time. But out of nowhere, some guy grabs our MC's attention, making him turn around. This blonde dude with yellow markings pops up suddenly, pointing right at our boy. Down on the ground, Chujiji groans about how he couldn't even beat some random perv. Hugutu shows up and says that with enough grinding, every attribute is practically useful, and taking down the strongest Demon King isn't impossible, quickly introducing himself as the sell-it-all merchant, and pitching some training manuals to Chujiji. Our MC spots the blonde person and immediately warns them not to use any stats on him, saying he's got absolutely nothing to buy since he's broke and chilling with the merchant. But the guy totally ignores the comment and straight up asks if our boy wants to know where his missing manhood ended up. Our main guy is absolutely shook, wondering how on earth this person knew about something so personal. The being then reaches out their hand and this crazy psychedelic energy starts glowing from it. Right after that, the energy explodes and completely fills up the whole place. With a smirk, the guy introduces himself as a god of this world. With a demonic shadow forming behind him, our boy hears the god's wild reveal. He actually turned his missing junk into the absolute strongest demon king. He keeps explaining, saying that if our guy defeats this top-tier demon king, he'll get any wish granted, doubling down on the fact that his manhood was turned into this exact monster. To show how demon kings are made, the god snaps his fingers, and a cute little yellow creature pops up in his hands, saying it was kinda like this. Then he introduces a little critter as the Fart Demon King, while two of them float around dropping toots right in front of our MC. Our boy is just incredibly confused, staring at the little beast and wondering why any of this is even happening. The god explains that he gave those creatures a specific stat, which is why they're called the Fart Demon Kings, since they can use skills tied to that power. Our MC is totally lost and demands to know why the heck his family jewels got turned into the strongest demon king. The god then drops the bomb that it was all a huge misunderstanding, because during reincarnation, he misread the situation and confused the dude's junk with his own character model. To make matters worse, he shows a censored image of his original model, leaving our MC completely speechless. Right after, our boy loses it and starts yelling, demanding to know where his manhood is, or rather, where the strongest demon king is hiding. With a smirk, the god reminds him that he's already seen what happens when a demon king bites the dust, showing a picture of one turning into a silver-rank divine artifact. He goes on, saying that by using these artifacts, people can pull off skills tied to the stats he handed out, bringing up Harold, the captain of the Great Roar, who uses the explosive fist as an example. But our MC couldn't care less about the history lesson and is only focused on one thing: figuring out where his missing piece went. Meanwhile, the god reveals he built the Demon King Mountain, a place with 10 floors and a bunch of caves, and to level up, you gotta beat the Demon King of that specific floor. Our boy goes into full panic mode, eyes wide open, only able to think about his missing parts. The crazy guy points to a chart showing that the strongest Demon King is at the very top, and says that if our boy beats him, he'll turn back into his junk, saying it like it's the easiest thing in the world. The MC asks if there really isn't any other way, but the god tells him that this is the only way, and our guy says he gets it. Then the god says he's gonna show him something, and our MC wonders what that could be. Without missing a beat, he shows the giant to our boy, and it starts glowing. Just like that, it turns into an upgraded kitchen knife. The god tells him he's ready to roll now. Our MC just stares at his new weapon, clueless as to how the guy pulled that off. The god reminds him that, as he probably already saw, when a demon king dies, it turns into a divine artifact, and he can actually use it too. But there's this one artifact that is so incredibly heavy our goat can't even hold it. Out of nowhere, the little god pulls a super creepy face and tells the MC that it's his duty to kill the demon. Our boy claps back, saying this whole mess was his fault to begin with. With a deeply unsettling smile, the god says he's gonna send the MC to a very special place. Then he grabs the fart demon. Our buddy here starts sledding and asks what's going on. The god just says it's going to be a fun ride. He is teleported to some random spot. He then finishes his thought, realizing that beating the demon could grant him literally any wish. With a smile, the god hands over his final gift. He asks what the thing even does. But right before he can say a single word, our buddy pops up somewhere else entirely. Our MC wonders what the crap is actually going on, but he spots something super sus on the ground, and he starts checking out what's underneath it. Without even realizing it, he spawns in a totally different place. Pretty quickly, he runs into a horrifying-looking monster. Our boy finds himself tangled up in some roots, wonders if that thing is a demon king or a zombie, and realizes he's landed straight in a demon king's cave. Our MC starts stressing about how he's gonna bust out of there, but a pink-haired warrior walks past him, complaining about having to carry dead weight while holding a bronze ranks artifact. The guy then turns around, introduces himself as Medini, and warns our MC that he better listen up if he wants to make it out, all while holding a blue orb. Our boy gets super salty, thinking there's no way he's about to face some classic bullying even inside a freaking demon cave. Using the god's name, he asks if that monster from before was the boss of this place. But Medini calls him a noob for not recognizing a demon king and explains it was just a corrupted creature. Suddenly, a tiny glowing cat-faced fairy spawns right between them, catching everyone off guard. Maideni points in shock, yelling that it's a fairy, and the little critter orders our boy to knock the warrior out cold, while our MC is just confused asking who she even is. The fairy then gets right in Medini's face looking annoyed to tell him that our boy doesn't have a pee. But before she can even finish her sentence, our MC clocks both of them right in the face. The fairy, wiping her face, whines about getting punched. Our MC backs away spooked, demanding to know who she is, where she came from, and, most importantly, how she knows about his missing hardware. Then the little creature lights up and reveals she's an avatar of a god, a being totally beyond his understanding. Our boy gets super hyped and announces that the fairy is going to witness his epic quest to find his junk, but she tells him to keep it down and asks what kind of weird talk that is. He then asks if she's his status system, but the fairy cuts him off, telling him to stop reading so many web novels, since avatars only watch, and he'll have to beat this quest on his own. Our MC double-checks if he's actually in a Demon King's cave, and she says yep, and they're literally scattered everywhere. He's confused about how he even got there, since he only opened a manhole cover in the middle of a pasture. The little critter laughs and explains that the cover was one of the many doors to the caves, bragging that she personally decorated every single one with her amazing taste. Looking at the root-covered walls, our MC points out that her taste screams torture dungeon, but the fairy denies it, saying they aren't all like that, stating that every cave has its own unique vibe and that he, a mere mortal, can't possibly compare his aesthetic sense to an all-knowing god's. Our boy asks what all the drama is about and, getting curious, asks if she's just gonna kill him right then and there. With a smile, the fairy says nope, claiming she's super friendly and wouldn't ruin the game because that would be way too boring. Our MC then asks how he can get out of there, and she lists the options: beat the cave boss, make him surrender, or find the exit door, adding that he's got to figure out how to escape this root cell all by himself. Our boy spends a second deep in thought, rubbing his chin, and then a light bulb goes off, and he summons a hot pink chainsaw. The fairy recognizes it as the Diladong version 550 electric chainsaw, and our boy asks how she knew that, to which she replies that gods know literally everything. Our main guy tries to fire up the chainsaw, but it doesn't work, leaving him confused while the fairy asks if that thing doesn't need to be plugged in. Suddenly, the chainsaw shocks him, and our MC yells that he got completely scammed. He then starts screaming for help, asking if anyone is out there, while the fairy just giggles at him. At that moment, 3 fish-looking creatures crawl out of the roots. Right after, a tiny yellow dude with a leaf on his head shows up too and introduces himself as Xiaoshuo. Our boy realizes not a single one of them is human, and the fairy just keeps laughing at the whole situation. He gets hit with this awful feeling of defeat and can only think, well, crap. The fairy explains that the 3 of them are fish villagers and the other guy is a refugee from the In tribe, while Medini gets back on his feet in the background. Medini starts flexing, grinning as he mentions that his dad is the captain of the Great Roar Knights. With his face all twisted in anger, our MC yells, asking who the heck this guy thinks he is. To his surprise, Medini wonders out loud if he somehow triggered a split personality in the guy. Medini backpedals, saying he was blind for not seeing that the master was rolling with a fairy and that he was just playing dumb with a bronze artifact to fool everyone, meaning even the punch to the face was part of his master plan. RMC asks if he's talking about this dude, the fairy, and casually drops that he's actually a god. The fairy then pinches our boy's cheek, screaming that he's the gold god, leaving our MC panicking over his new nickname. Maideni throws a thumbs up, praising bro gold god's swagger and commenting that it's super common for fairies to name themselves after diseases. The fairy totally loses it over that comment and dives at our boy, while he points at her and says that if a god's avatar is following him, it means he's got crazy potential. He then tells Medini to ignore the critter's meltdown and asks what his stat is and what his escape plan looks like. Medini takes a knee and reveals his stat is fireworks, and his grand plan is to dry out the vines and burn an exit before the corrosion demon king comes back. He then focuses his energy into his thumb, sparking up a tiny little flame. Seeing that, our boy straight up summons a lighter and sparks a way bigger flame, leaving both Medini and the fairy with their jaws on the floor. Medini is absolutely blown away, shouting that this is exactly what you'd expect from someone chosen by a fairy, and begs to know how the master pulled it off. Wearing a total troll face, our MC starts explaining that to master this epic technique you first gotta, but the fairy cuts him off by flying right into his face. Back in the cave, a creature with branches for hair and red eyes shows up looking totally confused. Our MC charges straight at the beast. Our boy realizes it's a tree controlled by a demon, And since he has no clue how to break the mind control, he figures the best bet is to just take the creature out so it doesn't block his path. Then he summons what looks exactly like a kitchen knife. But Ark quickly changes his mind, figuring an axe is way better against an ent, so he switches weapons. Axe in hand, he dodges the attack. He then gears up for the final blow, raising his axe high, and with a shout to the heavens he lands a dead center hit right on the creature's chest. The axe shatters the ent into a bunch of pieces that go flying everywhere. The monster then drops to the ground completely defeated while our boy and the others just watch. He's left wondering if it's really that easy. Out of nowhere, a blue-haired girl wearing a witch's hat pops up, introduces herself as Lily, and asks if everybody's alright. The scene then cuts to a forest with a bright blue sky. A giant crystal demon sitting on a rock mentions that half a year has already gone by. Right as a horned silhouette holding a club explains that he left the mountain 6 months ago to inspect the Demon King's caves one by one. The crystal demon asks the little yellow guy Kankamo about the caves registered under his name, and Kankamo confirms the place is his and that the king took him in when he was just a wanderer, then asks how the fruit wine tastes. The Demon King explains he's not a fan of the situation, but Kankamo can only leave his post if he gets challenged, since it's a rule from the god of no confusion that they have to follow. The king then mentions that the wine is actually pretty good, and they didn't expect him to reach such a remote spot so fast, warning him that the heroes will be coming back to attack soon. Kankamo agrees and lets them know they're heading back to the Demon King's cave right away. But the horned guy tells Kankamo he doesn't need to call him king anymore, since he prefers a friendlier nickname. Kankamo is super confused, seeing as he's the strongest Demon King of all, and asks what they should call him then. The creature reveals himself to be a young boy and tells them to just call him Ding. Back in the cave, the squad is walking down a hallway. Lily then gets in our guy's face, asking why he took out the ent, insisting the creature was innocent and just corrupted. Our MC defends himself, saying it was the only way to handle things and that he had no clue what else to do with a tree. But then, the group drops the bomb that they're all from the Ent tribe. As they're running, they explain that the Demon King of Corrosion invaded their village, and it clicks for our boy that this is why the river water tasted so funky. Xiao Kui shares that his dad is the strongest in the village but got corrupted while trying to protect him. The little Ent then begs our boy to save his dad, and Lily promises they'll rescue him in the name of the god of no confusion. Our guy is totally shocked hearing the god's name and looks over at Lily, but she gets cut off by a giant hand. She then introduces herself as Pupu, a missionary and hardcore follower of the god of no confusion, and asks if something's wrong. The little fairy explains that the Kingdom of Believers is a super religious nation that worships the god of no confusion, and even though the Pope claims to have seen him, there's no hard proof, but she insists she's got her own evidence. Lily then shares her backstory, saying that even as an elf, she can swear God exists, because when she was a kid, she went through a natural disaster. She goes on, explaining she was trapped under the rubble for 3 days and nights and nobody could hear her. But the very first time she prayed to the god of no confusion, a glowing hand reached out from the debris, and she says God answered her right on the spot. Ever since then, Pupu's been a devout follower and now spreads the word to help others get that divine protection. The little fairy, however, could honestly not care less about the story. Just then, the fishmen decide to chime in with their own experience, reminiscing about when they were little fry in the river. But our boy shuts them down, telling all 3 of them to zip it. Lily then asks if they want to believe in the god of no confusion and join up with them, but our MC and the fairy shoot back in unison, no way. Our main guy follows up by saying that even if God does exist, he's pretty sure the big guy up there wouldn't lift a finger anyway. Pupu argues that God totally gets him, since people who've actually experienced miracles have a way easier time sensing his presence. Maidemi pops up holding Shatshui and says they want to join in too. But our boy loses his patience and snaps at all of them. Suddenly, the crew looks up and spots a bunch of monsters hanging from the ceiling, instantly putting our MC and Lily on high alert. The creatures then drop down to attack, and the little witch screams that they're incoming. Lily immediately fires off a spell with her wand, hitting the beasts dead on. Meanwhile, our boy charges in with a glowing purple aura around him, completely ready to throw down. He then summons a literal frying pan and smacks one of the monsters right in the face with it. Right after that, he uses the exact same pan to whack another enemy. The beast groans in pain and goes flying from the sheer force of the impact. At that point, the rest of the squad jumps into the fray, but Medini gets grabbed and screams in pain. He then starts yelling frantically, begging his master to save him. Quick on his feet, Our boy tosses what looks like a bucket of oil right on the monster holding his buddy. Lily then yells at our MC to get out of the way while she preps another spell. But the floor gets super slick, and our boy ends up slipping in his own oil right alongside a giant fish creature. The monster grumbles about the slippery floor, and our guy tells his ally to quit using that skill since it's clearly backfiring. Over on the other side, the fishmen announce they've already handled their end, with one of the monsters knocked out cold on the floor. Out of nowhere, the corrupted ent shows up and snatches Shahoy, who starts screaming his lungs out for help. Seeing this go down, our MC dashes in completely wrapped in a pink aura, and with one epic punch, he sends the monster holding Xiaochui flying through the air, saving the little kid. After that massive hit, the room goes dead silent with the monsters laid out on the floor. While the group catches their breath, Xiao Kui's jaw just drops, totally mind-blown by how fast that all happened. Right then, the corrupted ent, the little kid's dad, bursts out with this yellow energy and yells Papa. A status window pops up, revealing he's from the Entrace under the numbness class. The monster then charges full speed ahead, spinning through the air with a weapon in hand. He tries to hit our boy with a massive strike, aiming straight for his head. But the ant suddenly realizes his hand is completely empty and looks super confused, wondering where the heck his weapon went. Our MC then casually pops up holding the axe, letting the beast know that's actually his item, and you can't just grab it and use it however you want. The ent tries to land a kick, but our boy braces for impact, surrounded by that purple energy. Lily and Medini watch the whole thing completely shook, screaming in surprise. Even the fishmen are looking on in awe at that crazy flex of strength. Our MC then cracks a confident little smirk. With a little cat on his shoulder, he cockily warns him that the nutcracker kick is definitely not going to work on him. Medini's eyes practically sparkle as he gets super hyped, yelling about how insanely strong his master is. Lily then fires off a healing spell at the corrupted ent to try and save him. Except the spell phases right through the monster and lands a direct hit on our boy, who was standing right behind it. The little witch's eyes go wide, completely panicking over what she just did. Our boy's hair grows ridiculously long and he pulls this super weird face, totally under the influence of the Bloom of Vitality spell. Lily then explains that her attribute is from the Rebirth class, meant for healing, but she can't really control it and always triggers these over-the-top side effects, which is exactly why our guy's hair grew so much, and why the ents got bigger too. She goes on to say that since she has zero control over it, she doesn't even dare use the skill on injured people and basically just uses it as a combat move. Drawn in a chibi style, our boy figures out that the physical healing skills cause abnormal growth, while the mental ones cause extreme hype, and jokes that this must be the price you pay for believing in God Wuhuo. But Lily claps back, saying that's not how it works, since attributes are gifts from God, and people should be thankful to use them. And Medini nods along, saying that's just how people with attributes are. Right then, the ent that was knocked out starts getting back up, tail swishing back and forth. He completely bounces back, standing tall in a super threatening stance. And right after that, every single monster that was down on the floor gets back up too, fully healed and ready to attack all over again. The biggest monster glows with green energy and pops a numbness barrier around himself and the rest of the pack. Xiao Chu Kui explains that his dad's attribute is numbness, which makes his enemies lose all sense of pain, and begs the team to save him. Our guy asks if that shouldn't just be called paralysis. But the little cat chimes in, saying that both the paralysis and pain sensation attributes were already taken. Mating then asks his master what they're gonna do, and our MC starts brainstorming a special attack that works perfectly against plants. He keeps racking his brain for something that can cure this so-called corruption that messed up the monsters. Meanwhile, the entire army of ents rushes right at them, ready to attack all at once. The leader of the monsters looks pretty shocked to see the rest of the pack charging forward so suddenly. That's when our boy whips out a bottle of weed killer and asks if they're not afraid of pain, smoothly following up by asking if they're afraid of kicking the bucket. Vili and Shaho Kuei look totally confused, having no idea what he's holding. But Medini gets super hyped, assuming it's some top secret plant poison, a treasure from the Demon King's cave, and starts praising his master. The sidekick then tells our boy to grab more bottles since just one won't be enough. But our MC gets annoyed and tells him to shut his trap. Spotting the threat, the lead-in points straight at the group. In response, our main guy actually grabs Xiachui and uses him as a hostage, threatening to dump the poison on him if they don't let them go. The little cat and one of the fishmen start yelling at him, while a totally shocked Lily tells everyone to freeze. Sporting this crazy look on his face, our boy thinks to himself that it's time for a classic soap opera plot twist. while the little kid bawls his eyes out in his arms. Xiaokri's dad freezes up entirely, trembling and having absolutely no idea how to handle the hostage situation. But right after that, the tree guy completely loses it and charges full speed at our boy, screaming in pure rage. Our MC braces himself for the impact of the attack. The hit kicks up a huge cloud of dust and knocks our boy to the ground. But the monster ends up tumbling down too. Right in the middle of the smoke, the dad gets up and scoops Xiaoshui into his arms while the little guy calls out to him. The corrupted look on the tree dad's face starts fading away, and he looks at his son in total surprise, calling out his name. Meanwhile, our main guy is busy distracting the other monsters at the back of the room. He then flashes a smirk and drops the plot twist. The so-called poison was actually sea salt body lotion, which is totally fabulous for moisturizing the skin. Maideni is absolutely shook to find out his master had a secret remedy, and the kitty is super surprised that it actually worked to clear up some of the corruption. The dad, finally back to his senses, hugs his kid tight and asks what on earth he's doing there. The other monsters just stand there watching the whole scene, totally clueless about what is going on. Out of nowhere, the tree dad yells with a look of pure panic, ordering everyone to freeze. The others freeze in their tracks, completely caught off guard by their leader's command. He then turns to our boy and begs the hero to go save the others first, taking advantage of the fact that he's still half corrupted, and the squad still listens to him, since he can't hold on much longer. Our MC gives a nod and squirts some more lotion into his hand, getting ready to heal the rest of the monster crew. One by one, the tree guys bounce back to normal, with the last one letting out a huge sigh of relief, while our MC whines about having used exactly 5 whole bottles of lotion. The leader of the tree guys explains they were from a nearby village, before getting overrun by the corruption demon king, and the fish dude chimes in saying they only went there to check things out, and his tribe actually asked Lily to track them down. Our boy then asks about the rest of the folks back at the village, and the tree guy replies that they were all corrupted just to brew fruit wine for the demon king, which makes our MC grumble that he literally only came all this way for a sip of that wine. He then asks what kind of stats they are rocking, and the tree leader replies that his is a tuner class and causes numbness. The kitty explains that attributes fall into 3 categories: tuner, which messes with living things; alteration, which affects non-living stuff; and emergence, which literally creates things out of thin air, prompting our MC to complain that this magic system is way harder to follow than the manga he reads. Out of the blue, one of the fish dudes asks what his zodiac sign is, and he says he is a dog. The other 2 then claim they are rat and kangaroo signs, and our boy totally loses his mind, yelling that a kangaroo zodiac sign is absolutely not a thing. Marini and Xiaokui then chime in saying they are kangaroos too, and our MC is just flabbergasted by how many people share this made-up sign. The tree leader explains that their village is super out in the sticks, so they don't really get how this stuff works, and he only knows better because he went off to college in the city. He goes on, saying the fish dudes can spit water and swim like pros, while the tree guys can stretch their limbs out, bloom, and even grow fruit. Lily then totally derails the conversation and asks where the heck this corruption demon king is hiding. The tree guy answers that it looks like the boss went to fetch someone, and Madani suggests they bounce real quick before a whole squad of demon kings rolls up, but the leader calls him a total noob, pointing out that a dungeon only ever has 1 demon king. With a dead serious look, our MC announces he is not going anywhere because he wants to take down the demon king, and the kitty hypes him up, totally agreeing. Madani grabs an artifact and is low-key, shook that the tree guy is gold rank but only knows a single skill. He then turns to Lily and asks if she's really just bronze rank, and the little witch admits she doesn't dare use the high-tier divine artifacts. Our MC then tells Madini to break down the ranking system for him, but the kitty tells him not to even bother listening to that guy. Their buddy explains that the tiers go bronze, silver, gold, platinum, diamond, and right at the very top, star rank, making our boy think this whole setup sounds exactly like a video game. Maideni then randomly turns into a pig, and our MC roasts him, telling him to save his pig build for later. Lily straight up declares that evil demon kings must be wiped out, name-dropping the god Wuhua. Our boy gets annoyed, complaining that she's always hyping up this god who only showed up by pure coincidence and probably wouldn't have anything useful to say anyway. The little witch claps back, saying she's been preaching for 5 whole years, and the fact that she's still at it proves her god is watching over them, letting them know she's staying for the fight too. Our MC mutters that this god sounds like a total peeping Tom if he's always snooping around watching people. All of a sudden, Lily turns her back and starts praying, asking the god Wuhua for protection. Flashing back to a memory, The corruption demon king, still just a little kid, asks who he is, and a voice tells him he's his son, a demon king, and that the voice speaking to him is God. The little guy runs around super happy, playing tag with his dad's shadow and daring him to catch him. The dad then holds up a drawing asking what you're supposed to do when heroes roll up to attack, and the kid answers that you gotta take them out. The godly voice then blesses him with the corruption attribute, making the boy super thrilled and promising to study super hard. The little guy asks if he has what it takes to be a good demon king, and the voice reassures him, saying he's his son and stronger than anybody else, hyping him up to keep practicing. Still in the memory, the godly voice shows the little corruption demon king a super fancy dungeon, letting him know this is his new office, and telling him it's time to clock in. Snapping back to the present, the powered-up demon king smashes right through the ceiling and lunges straight for our boy and Lily. The monster screams at the top of his lungs, demanding to know how they have the nerve to crash his dungeon. Facing down this massive threat, Lily and Medini instantly drop into a combat stance ready to throw down. The demon king then launches his attack, yelling for them to get a taste of his 100 revolutions, 1,000 blades technique. The move unleashes a literal tornado of energy blades that tears forward, destroying everything in its path. After a massive explosion of smoke, our main guy yells out his friends' names, totally stressed out. But then he catches a familiar voice, and spotting a tiny silhouette in the dust, he wonders to himself if it could actually be him. A little kid with black hair and red eyes steps out and asks if he's the boss. Our MC is absolutely stunned, eyes wide open the second he recognizes the kid's face. He thinks to himself, wondering if that is actually his dick. A flashback hits, showing our boy in a bathroom with the kid, calling him his ultimate battle soulmate. Another memory shows them way younger back in the bathhouse, where he called him his golden partner. And in one final flashback, he calls him his brother in arms. But the kitty corrects him, saying he's actually his little brother. Snapping back to reality, our main guy pulls him into a massive bear hug. The kid is just standing there, utterly clueless about what's going on. Then he looks right at the kid, saying that after losing him, he only saw him when he closed his eyes. But whenever he opened them, he wasn't by his side anymore. He used to be right below his waist. Our boy admits he was being totally selfish, taking all his hard work for granted. And he only just realized that every single moment they spent together meant the world to him. He apologizes, swearing to properly protect the kid this time so they never ever get separated again, and screams for him to come back. All of a sudden, an intense golden light bursts out, wrapping around both of them in a crazy attempt to fuse them back together. Except the fusion totally fails, and our MC asks what the heck is going on and why they can't combine. To which the kitty replies that the reason is super obvious. Xiaoqi explains that he got it all wrong. His dick is basically a divine artifact, and a demon king only turns back into an artifact when he bites the dust. So if they want to merge, he's gonna have to take out the strongest demon king first. In a flashback from 6 months ago, Xiaoqi asks the kid for his name, and he replies that he can just call him Dick, confirming he's already gotten totally used to it. Our main guy absolutely loses it, screaming that he finally found his dick but can't even fuse with him, and has a total meltdown finding out it's already been 6 whole months. The cat drops the lore that while he was chilling in his domain, time was sped up a bit, meaning it's literally been half a year since he got isekai'd, leaving our boy even more mind-blown. But Dick calms him down, saying he's doing alright and that even though he was pretty bummed out at first, he's totally over it now. Our MC thinks to himself that the second his dick left him, the guy instantly became fiercely independent, and he silently curses out the god Yahello. A super creepy voice suddenly echoes in his head, telling him to take out the kid, and he starts wondering if that's seriously the only way to get his dick back. Flashing a dead serious look, he asks himself if he actually has what it takes to do it. Dick then invites our MC to come hang out at his place once they clear the dungeon, bragging that he's got tons of friends over there. Catching our boy totally off guard, the little dude explains that his crib is right on the top floor of the Demon King Mountain, and Xiaoqi chimes in to confirm that he's spitting facts. Dick drops the bomb that his real body is still back at the mountain, and the one standing right there is just a clone. A buddy's magic let him borrow so he could roam around and travel for a few months. Flashing a big smile, the kid says the outside world is absolutely amazing, and asks our boy to go adventuring with him again, just like the good old days. Out of nowhere, Xiaoqi lets out a totally villainous laugh, claiming the world is so amazing because it's his world, and straight up reveals himself to be the god Yahello. The cat morphs into a giant cloud of pitch-black smoke and rushes straight at them at top speed, The dark energy smacks right into Dick, setting off a massive red and black explosion. When the smoke clears, Dick's left arm starts mutating, taking on a super creepy, corrupted look. He then uses that cursed arm to punch an invisible force field right in front of him, shattering it with a single hit. The sheer force of the punch is so insane that it completely crumbles the stone floor all around them. Somebody screams to watch out and curses the Demon King, while Dick casually tells the boss that they should probably let him finish clearing the dungeon first. A flashback of the Corruption Demon King shows him actually super hyped about being defeated for the first time, totally determined to become a top-tier Demon King to make his dad proud. But the daily grind just keeps dragging on, and he starts wondering why these heroes are back yet again, feeling like he hasn't caught a break in days. He gets incredibly frustrated with the never-ending spam of heroes asking if they're basically cockroaches and yelling at them to just get lost. Totally burnt out, the Demon King wonders if the meaning of life is just living out the exact same day on loop, and finally decides he is officially done fighting. Still in the flashback, the Corruption Demon King makes a run for it out of a city, laughing and cheering that he finally managed to break free. And now, standing in the middle of a desert, he screams at the top of his lungs that he is free, with 0 endless boss fights left on his schedule. Cut to the little yellow monster jumping for joy right in the middle of a lush green field, hyped out of his mind that he's officially retired. Snapping back to the present, Madani and Willie spot a massive Demon King rising from the smoke and look totally confused. Their buddy checks his artifact and is totally dumbfounded to realize that the giant monster is only a silver rank scrub. But then he realizes they aren't dealing with just one, because that same little yellow monster from the flashback is chilling right next to several other massive corrupted beasts. Suddenly, right as the monster is about to strike, he squashes the little yellow guy into the dirt with a single hit. But the little dude just unleashes a wave of dark purple energy called the Torrent of Corruption. The energy sweeps forward and completely swallows up the other creatures standing around him. The corruption wave completely eats up the monsters while the little yellow guy casually floats away. He then stops in midair and declares that this place is his retirement home, while the corrupted creatures behind him groan in agony. The little guy morphs, revealing himself to actually be the Tuner Corruption Demon King, a literal platinum-class threat, and calls the mutated beasts his personal caretakers. The huge Demon King glares down at the corrupted monsters, scoffing that they are way overestimating their own power. Then, he charges in for the attack, screaming for all of them to be wiped out. But the attack goes right through the smoke and the monster that was there completely vanishes, leaving everyone scratching their heads. From the top of a cliff, Dick keeps an eye on the Blade Demon King, Kankimo, who calls him King. A status screen then pops up confirming that Kankimo, the Blade Demon King, is an emerging class monster sitting at silver rank. The little guy then stares down the monsters and gives them a heads up that, according to the big boss upstairs rules, only one Demon King can run the show in a cave, and asks which one of them is the real boss around there. Kankimo explains that half a month ago, the Corruption Demon King, Teleti, dipped from the mountain and took over his cave, and since the dude was platinum, and Kankimo was only silver, he wanted to tag along to level up his own game. But Dick cuts him off, saying that either way he is benched for now and they can chat after the whole showdown is over. Watching the whole thing go down, Xiaoqi the cat cracks a super satisfied smirk. The kid then tells Kankimo to hang tight and wait for the results with him, and the monster gives a thumbs up. Down below, his buddy Madini figures out that the little yellow monster is the real Corruption Demon King and confirms that the dude is totally Platinum Ray. The Corruption King then steps up, trash-talking the heroes and asking why they are not running for the hills yet, since they know he is Platinum rank. Right then, the monster comes flying at top speed straight toward Madini, totally ready to throw down. But our main guy acts fast and tosses a flask that unleashes a mist, saying it gets deep into the pores to say goodbye to dry skin. One of the monsters caught in the mist mutters that he got corrupted for a second time, but that it is all good. Our boy then steps up to the front lines and tells his crew to leave the heavy lifting to him. With a determined look, he thinks that after this brawl, he can finally reunite with his buddy Dick, and mentally asks the kid to wait for him. The weapon of choice for our MC is literally just a sack of flour. He then chucks the sack, which goes boom and creates a massive cloud of white dust all over the battlefield. Then he yells at Madini to fire off his shooting fireworks, but his buddy is left super confused. Madini claps back that his ultimate skill got locked away by the master, and our MC gets annoyed that he still remembers, calling him out for slacking off. While they are bickering, the corrupted monsters rush in to strike. Madani then completely ignores the seal and triggers his ultimate skill, giving the green light for the fireworks. Right after, a crazy barrage of yellow and orange light explosions lights up the whole place. The creatures take the blasts head-on, getting blasted far away by the sheer force of the impact. But the Corruption King steps right out of the smoke without a scratch, and Madani wonders what on earth kind of skill that is. Our main guy then busts out the elastic bind, trapping the Demon King, who yells in total shock. He jumps up and uses the bind to swing the little monster around, slamming him super hard right into the dirt. The Demon King gets squashed against the ground, left completely dazed by the massive slam. The creature then shakes it off and, out of nowhere, whacks our boy with a giant green pillow. Our MC catches the pillow mid-air and glares down the little monster who swung at him. Suddenly, our boy's face turns into a totally bruised-up panda-looking rough, and he thinks to himself that something is definitely not right. The Corruption King gets ready to strike, flexing his muscles and giving off a heavy purple aura. Then he fires off the piercing corruption chain, but our boy uses a basic umbrella to block it, figuring that stats affecting living things do not work on inanimate objects. Right after, our MC charges in with a massive sword, yelling that this is their shot. But the little monster dodges with a quick jump, slipping away from the attack and landing right in the middle of the smoke. Next thing you know, the creature claps back with a strike of super fast shadowy claws. But the attack ends up totally missing and smacks the Demon King's own minions instead, leaving them completely clueless. The corrupted monsters take their boss's dark energy straight to the face and holler in pain. The Demon King then turns to his goons and says he is retired, with way too much time to waste so they can just mess around and take it easy. Out of nowhere, he punches one of his underlings right in the head, who pops into a splash of blue liquid. Seeing that go down, our boy's crew comments that his messy style actually makes cleanup a breeze, and Madani praises the master for having so many tricks up his sleeve. The Demon King gets ticked off at something and stares down a specific spot, just saying, "You." Right then he gets blasted by a super powerful ray of blue energy that totally catches him off guard. A blue-haired mage shows up, declaring she is going to vanquish the wicked Demon King today, and unleashes her Vitality Burst skill. She summons some holy power, trapping the little monster in a spinning vortex of sacred purple energy. All of a sudden, one of the corrupted monsters notices his hand holding a box and screams in a total panic, begging everyone for help. The box bursts with an intense light, catching all the monsters chilling around it right in the blast. The force of the impact sends Madani and the creatures flying, while bits and pieces go flying everywhere. But even in the middle of all that chaos, one of the monsters manages to grab onto Madani before going down. Meanwhile, the Demon King just casually floats in the air, watching the whole mess unfold down below. The corrupted goons drop from the sky, totally dazed and knocked out by the blast. The Corruption King then loses his cool, complaining that he bailed to the middle of nowhere and they still tracked him down, warning the heroes they brought this on themselves as he fires up the corruption binding chain. Then he yells that he's going to completely crush them with a top-tier professional work ethic. Our MC totally panics, hands on his head, and freaks out when he realizes this boss fight actually has a phase 2. A tentacle of dark energy smacks him right in the face, and he realizes things just got super real. Right after that, our boy gets totally pummeled by a crazy combo of purple energy strikes. With his face looking totally busted, he yells that he hasn't been wrecked this hard since the day he was born. The Demon King steps up and says he's gonna beat our main guy until it's game over for him. I know it's all getting really good, but that's where I'm gonna have to leave it for now. If you want a part 2, you know the drill. Subscribe and leave a like. Catch you in the next one. Peace.